guys, welcome back to my channel. It is day 8 of my 12 days of Christmas today, and we're going to be talking about brands that impressed me in the year 2020. I went back and browsed through the different makeup products I had tried, the different brands that I had tried, some for the first time, and came up with a list of 6 brands that impressed me the very most this last year. And I'll give a little teaser. Some of these really surprised me. They were not ones I was necessarily even looking forward to trying. Should be a lot of fun. I've got my list here. I've got a couple products to show you guys. I've got my new glasses on. Try and stay away from the glare. But before we get into it, special welcome to any new visitors to my channel. Hope that you enjoy this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe and have your notifications turned on. With that said, let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, so the first brand I have on my list is one that really surprised me. This was not a brand that I really, not even that I didn't have my eye on, but it was a brand that I would often note the fact that anytime I was in an Ulta or Sephora, or anytime I saw something on Trendmoon from this brand, I would instantly have this kind of meh reaction. It is the brand Benefit. Now earlier in the year I tried out the Benefit Gimme Brow. I do really like this brow product, but this isn't what really made me fall in love with the brand Benefit. As much as I love this, I do have others that I think are similar and significantly more affordable. But what really knocked my socks off was this palette right here. So this palette I got relatively recently. I've only had this for about 2 months now, but it is full of 5 full sizes of some of their more popular cheek products, including the Cookie Highlight, the Sugar Bomb Blush, the Dallas Blush, Georgia Blush, and the original Hoola Bronzer. I love this palette, you guys. I love everything inside here. I will say I think the Georgia Blush is a little kind of meh. It doesn't show up a whole lot on me. I usually use it more of like a blush topper or mix it in with some of the others, but I thoroughly love everything else inside here, especially the Cookie Highlight and the Hoola Bronzer. How is it that I've been watching YouTube since 2008 and have never tried out the Hoola Bronzer? I think it was the box packaging that turned me off for a while. I just had a feeling that packaging, which I still kind of feel this way, would annoy me a little bit. So it's nice to have that product and others inside this palette, even though normally I don't go for palettes, but I do like everything inside here. And I find myself reaching for this all the time lately. I love this Hoola Bronzer. It is a perfect bronzer for me. Really good formula as well. They're not too firmly pressed, so I really like that I can really get my brush in there, but they're also not so firmly pressed that you can't get enough product onto your brush. They're perfect in my opinion. Really great undertone for me as well. It's a perfect bronzer for my skin tone. I love the highlight, super intense. I really like an intense highlight, perfect shade for me. And I do think this shade would work for just about anyone as long as you like a really intense highlight. I mean, if you have medium to deep skin, this is going to be blinding on you, but I still think it would be really beautiful. As for these 2 blush shades right here, I would guess if you have deeper skin than me, they probably won't show up on you very much. I love Dallas. It shows up really softly on me. Georgia doesn't show up a whole lot, but I love topping Sugar Bomb with Georgia. I think that's a beautiful combination as well. Really love the Sugar Bomb blush. It smells nice. Did I already say that? And I do like scented products. I think I've made that clear in quite a few videos. So I had to mention Benefit today because I never expected to like these products at all. In fact, I probably never would have tried these out if I didn't somehow convince myself that buying the $60 palette for the full-size Cookie Highlighter was a better value, which I still believe this to be true. And I'm glad that I convinced myself because otherwise I never would have tried these out. The next brand I tried out in 2020 very, very happily and was floored by. You guys can probably guess what it is. It's got to be Sydney Grace. Wow. What can I say? I mean, I've said it many times. I'm sure you guys are, and I think I've said, I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me talk about Sydney Grace at least 2 other times. So I don't want to be annoying and say that again today, but I will just say, I'm sure you guys are very weary of me talking about Sydney Grace. You're funny, Mandy. I just can't not mention these though. I don't want to talk too much about them because my guess is in a couple weeks when I do my year-end videos, these will probably have a little bit of a spotlight moment too. But just take a look at this, you guys. I seriously have a problem. I think I have collected probably 90% of her individual shadows, not to mention my complete love affair with the Enduring Love palette. They are just spectacular. Great pigmentation, really easy to use. Their mattes are super blendable no matter what shade you're going with, whether you're going with something colorful or light or dark, cool or warm. The shimmers, you guys know how I feel about her shimmers. They are next level gorgeous. I just can't talk about them enough. I am more attached to these eyeshadows than any of my eyeshadows in my collection, and I am very attached to all of my eyeshadows. I did do a video a couple of weeks ago, I think it was about a month ago, on my Sydney Grace singles. I have since added a few more. I did order some more during the Black Friday sale that they had. But if you're curious about her singles and not sure where to start, I'll link that video for you guys right here. You can take a look at it. I do have some recommendations on good, like, smaller groupings and color recommendations, so you're not so overwhelmed. And I did swatch all the singles I had at the time and share my favorites as well. So check that out if you are curious. Also, if you did miss their Black Friday sale and you don't want to pay full price, you can use Mel Thompson's coupon code. Actually, there's probably a lot of coupon codes out there, but I always use Mel's. It gives you 15% off, which is a pretty good discount. So I'll link that code down below for you guys as well. But definitely had to mention Sydney Grace today. I don't know that a brand has ever impressed me as much as this brand has. The next brand on my list of brands that impressed me in 2020 is another one that kind of surprised me a little bit, and it is the brand Milk Makeup. Now, I've been a long fan of the Milk Bronzer Stick, another thing that I feel like I talk about all the time, but for whatever reason, even though I've been using this product for more than a year now, I don't know why after falling in love with this, I just never really had any interest in their other makeup products. But I was placing an order at Sephora and I was looking for a highlighter. Actually, I think I was looking for the cookie highlighter, but it was out of stock. So rather than get that one, I ended up just kind of randomly picking up the Milk Flex highlighter, and I really love this highlighter. I've kind of fallen in love with it. And then on top of that, during my birthday month in July, I was at Sephora and they gave me this little mini Milk makeup set, and this lip and cheek stick was in there. This is in the shade Work. I love this. It is one of my favorite cream cheek products this year. It's a really nice, kind of glossy formula, but it's not greasy in any way. Really soft, lovely scent, which I really enjoy. I love the color of it. It's just a perfect neutral pink. Big fan of this one. And again, this is a product I know I never would have picked up on my own. But the fact that I've only tried 3, no, make that 4. I also have a mini mascara of theirs, which I also do really like. So the fact that I've only tried 4 products from them and all of them were wins makes me very impressed and makes me a little bit more curious about this brand. The next brand that impressed me this year was Natasha Denona. Now, I will just say this, I did not love the Love palette, which I know I've said a few times. I also had a few small criticisms with the Bronze palette, but I do still think these are good palettes with some really pretty shades, great formulas inside them. But the things that most impressed me with Natasha Denona is the fact that she's releasing more of these smaller, slightly more affordable palettes. And this one specifically right here, the Glam palette, this was a major hit this last year for me. I absolutely love this palette. It is stunning. It's very unique for such a boring looking palette. I reach for it very often and I love the looks that come out of this. I also really have fallen in love with these little mini palettes. I love the mini retro. This is my very favorite one, but I equally or almost as much love these two right here. The mini nude and the mini Zendo. Love the packaging of these little things, and while I think the value on these is probably not great, I mean they're $25 a piece, the wow factor of these, because they're great packaging, good color stories, great formulas. I do really love Natasha Denona's formula, and as someone that doesn't actually use all of her eyeshadows, this is actually really good size for me or for the makeup lover or eyeshadow palette collector out there. There's a small part of me with Natasha Denona because her prices they're really up there. I mean, they're uncomfortably high, even the small palettes and the mini palettes, but I do really love her formula, and the more I use it, the more I'm familiar with it, the more I compare it to other formulas, the more it slowly works its way up the chain. Now, does that make it worth $129 for a large palette? Probably not. But if you have a higher budget, if you like luxury makeup, if you like really good packaging and really nice eyeshadows, I do think Natasha Denona is worth a look at. The next brand that impressed me this last year is a brand that's no stranger to me, and that is e.l.f. Cosmetics. I've been a longtime fan of e.l.f. Cosmetics, but I feel like this last year they had some particularly great releases. First off, their bite-sized mini palettes. This was such a great release this past year. You cannot beat the value of these eyeshadows anywhere. And while I don't think the formula of these is going to compete with the Natasha Denona formula, I do think it's a really good formula, and for $3 a piece. I mean, that is just crazy. So for those of you that are on a very, very tight budget, you just don't have money to really throw into eyeshadow palettes that you may not necessarily need, these are the perfect thing to satisfy that desire to try some new makeup without breaking the bank. Honestly, I just don't know. I don't know how they did this. That was amazing. I was also super impressed with the Retro Paradise palette. This was such a fun palette. Great color story. I used this a ton this last summer. And also these little blushes from them, I've been super impressed with these as well as their primer infused bronzer. I love that bronzer too. Great additions to my collection. Honestly, I think everything new that I tried tried from e.l.f. this year was a real hit for me. Perhaps with the exception of their putty eye primer. I don't really love this. It doesn't work amazingly well for me. I don't think it's terrible, but it does crease a little bit on me, and I don't normally have problems with primers or eyeshadows creasing on me a whole lot. So for those of you that feel like maybe Natasha Denona is out of your budget, which I completely understand, e.l.f. is a great option. They have some really great makeup products. I feel like they're getting better and better every year, but still keeping their prices really nice and low and competitive, and I really appreciate that. I'm really impressed with them because they are one of the brands that I first fell in love with, and it was completely because of their affordability, but now I feel like their quality of makeup is kind of catching up to the impressiveness I felt over just their price point. I don't know if that makes sense. Great stuff, great prices. That's what I'm trying to say. Very last brand on my brands that impressed me in 2020 is another pricey one, another one that kind of hurts the frugal side of me, but I have to admit that I really have been impressed with these products, and it is the brand Hourglass. Now, I want to just say this. I also own the Hourglass Ghost palette from last year. It is a good palette, but I haven't yet fallen in love with their setting powders and their highlighter. What I really love from them is their blushes and bronzers. So I have two bronzers, one in a mini, one in a large size. This one right here is in the shade Luminous Bronze Light. Love this one, very nice and warm. I also have a mini of the shade Diffuse Bronze Light. This one is quite a bit deeper, and it also is more cool tone. So this is a really good, more contouring kind of shade, but I do still really love this. I also have this blush from them in the shade Mood Exposure. This is spectacular. In fact, I think if I was to recommend just one thing from them, it would be this mini blush. I personally would recommend the minis over the larger sizes because I have a larger makeup collection, and I never go through blushes. I mean, when I use a blush, I use such a small amount, and I have so many that I like to rotate through. I just don't think having a full size product would be worth it for me. I do think with the bronzers, it can be a little bit nice to have a full size bronzer because I do use pretty large bronzer brushes, and they sometimes have a hard time fitting inside the minis. But if we're just talking about cost, I think the minis are worth it if you are someone that probably knows you won't go through an entire full-size product. The value is going to be a little bit less, but I just know that I would never use a full-size blush from them. But what has impressed me so much about Hourglass is the finish of their powders, and I'm talking specifically about their blushes and their bronzers. They have the most perfect subtle sheen to them that makes them look like a cream product, but they are obviously a powder. I don't have any other formulas in my collection that look quite as natural on the cheeks as these ones do, and they look so effortlessly natural. Like, you don't have to sit and blend or place things perfectly to get them to look great. You just put them on your cheeks and you look naturally radiant or bronzed and colored in just such the perfect way. I don't know how they do it, but they are every bit as good as what people have said. The blushes and bronzers, again, I'm still waiting to feel that way about their finishing powders. I know a lot of you guys do and swear by them, but for me, if I was to buy something again, I'd probably go for the minis or full sizes over the ambient lighting palette. But again, that's just coming from someone that's not a big powder person in the first place. I also wanted to just say this is kind of the year that my eyes are starting to open up to a recognition of the importance or the value of really good packaging, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I've had so many drugstore products that have great products inside them, but the packaging is constantly breaking, and I imagine that will be a major issue for a lot of people, whether that's practically because you travel or whether it's just something that really annoys you. And there is a definite difference in higher end packaging, kind of like these right here, than in something along the lines of these two. Although I haven't had any issues with these two yet, but we'll see. Time will tell, and I definitely can feel a difference in quality. I mean, you would hope so, right? $25, $3, there better be a difference in quality of packaging. All right, guys, and that is it for the 6 brands that really impressed me in the year 2020. I will have a video coming out in a few days of the brands I'd like to try in 2021. I've got a good list going. I wasn't super successful last year, and there were actually a few brands on my list last year that I didn't try that I'm not sure I still hold the same enthusiasm for them to try out this next year. We'll see. I need to sit down and kind of narrow my list, but that should be a fun video that will be coming up in a couple of days. Hope you guys are enjoying this 12 days of Christmas. I know it is a lot of videos. I hope you guys are not tired of seeing my face and hearing my voice. I'm totally kidding, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys again for stopping by, for watching. Hope that you guys have a good one, and I will see you all tomorrow in my next video. Bye. Were the glasses annoying? I'm trying to get used to wearing them. I am officially old, you guys. have never had to wear glasses in my entire life, and I am blind as a bat. I found out when I went to my eye appointment 2 weeks ago. Although the bad thing about glasses, I put these on, I was like, I told my husband, I don't like wearing my glasses because it emphasizes the wrinkles under my eyes. He's like, it looks exactly the same. And I realized it's not actually the glasses that emphasize the wrinkles under my eyes. I can actually see the wrinkles that were there all along. So basically I've been looking at myself in a mirror with like a blurring filter on, just with my natural poor eyesight.